Hey there, hi there, ho there. So is Subtext still on for 4 p.m.? I must be looking right past it. It's a guy thing. You're here and I'm here. There is a delay and we're trying to figure out timing how this works when we use the platform we've been using. So I'm starting a little bit early thinking that the delay will make us start right on time. So it's not quite 4 yet. You're very eager. But we have a lot to cover today, and I don't want to take too much time on these lives. This isn't one of our official trainings. Let me know that you can hear me too. I'm trying a microphone situation. It says that it's working. It tells me it's working. Hold on a second. Getting very fancy around here. Oh, or not. Okay. I got this. So we have 2 monitors. So I'm going to look like this the whole time. That's not distracting at all. So our official trainings are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. And, oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm not even going to deal with that. Okay. So our official trainings are Monday and Wednesday and Friday of this week, where we're doing the bulk of our training. Hey, yay, JD Stark, good to see you. Look, see, I can look at that. Yay. So we're doing these extras. This is an extra. This is a bonus. We're tossing this in because this is such a cool exercise. So ready for some, the emoji that's like, ready for some mind-blowing stuff. And this is kind of the trainings. This is some of my favorite trainings that we like to do. What's the best advice for an up-and-coming screenwriter? The best advice. Whew. And I can't see your name, whoever asked that. So if you would like me, see, that's what it looks like to me. So there's a little link at the very top and it says go to StreamYard.com and you can click on that and then you'll be able to see. Hi, Rocky, good to see you. So we are going to dive in. The best advice right now as a screenwriter is to go back and go through all of the posts that you're seeing in this Facebook group and watch every video that we're putting in there. And that was the thing. Yesterday I was like, what was the thing that we said we need to remind ourselves of? And that's what it was. Is like, there's a few more trainings I want to put in here today. So I will do that when we're done. We're going in this, and then I have a class that I'm teaching. And then right after my next class, I will put in stuff, a few more trainings. So, and you can go over, I'm going to share my screen in a moment here, and I can show you if you have a question about it, but you can go over inside of this Facebook group, you go over to the units, and there's a few videos in there. So I'm going to post a few today, and then I'll throw them over in the units so you guys can watch even more. So that's my best advice, because it's like saying, what would be the best advice for someone who wants to race cars? It's such a huge topic. The best advice is you're here, you're doing it. So is just to do it, to start writing, to start reading, to be there. That's the best advice I can think of in this moment. Because there's so many little details, right? And that's why we have all these trainings, is that give you a kind of toolbox that you can use so that you can use your own life. You can use things to write, what you want to write. And then we're giving you tools on kind of how to actually dive in and do that. So I hope that makes sense. It's a great question, and it's a big question. Hey, Mariana, nice to see you. See, look, let me show. Look, see, Rocky's here. And Mariana's here. So cool. So, so today, what I thought, it's interesting to me. There's a lot of writer Facebook groups out there. There's a lot of books. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of YouTube channels. There's a lot of stuff out there about writing screenplays, right? There's a ton of stuff about it. But you don't see this topic, in my opinion, enough, subtext. We talk a little bit about subtext, but really, to me, for an actor, for sure, the thing that sets a good actor apart is subtext. I mean, hands down, in my opinion. My never to be humble opinion, that the thing that really sets an actor apart is subtext. And so be curious to see, what would your definition of subtext be if you were to write that? Hey, Jessica, good to see you. So that is the thing to me that sets an actor apart. And that's the thing, we talk about, I've got my things, pardon me. I'm like, Scruffles isn't here. Hey, Mickey, nice to see you. I'm just putting the whole Mickey nickname together with your name. I thought that was 2 separate people. Shows what I've been thinking. You have 2 personalities. It's like Carol and Erilyn. So Sorry about that. I can't believe that's just dawning on me. So subtext is to me, like, what would you guys, someone tell me what is subtext? It really is something that if an actor does this well, and it's something as a writer we talk about, and we're going to talk about this more in our training tomorrow, about Rileys. I don't know if y'all know what Rileys are. I'm sure a lot of you do. The underlining meaning of seemingly unrelated dialogue. Nicely done. Nicely done, Rocky. But not necessarily, and it doesn't necessarily have to be seeming. Oh, I see what you mean by seemingly unrelated. Okay, I get that now. I got it. I was thinking related to each other, but yeah. Hey, all. Just got in, Facebook user. So if you'd like, this is what that's what your thing looks like. If you'd like your name to show so I can see who you are, you just have to click on StreamYard.com at the top of this post, and you can add your name to the thingamager. They just want to make sure, which I like, that they're getting permission just to put your name up. They don't do anything with that other than that. But yeah, so I'm gonna stick that back up there. So subtext, I don't think that a lot of, it's not a big topic. You don't hear this topic a lot yet. So what Rocky means by this, the underlying meaning of seemingly unrelated dialogue is that I'm saying one thing, but the underlying meaning is different. And it doesn't necessarily turn off my Mozart. What? It doesn't necessarily have to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be unrelated to your dialogue. You could be saying what you mean, but your subtext could be, I could be saying, I'm leaving you, and I mean it. And so what I'm saying is matching my action, but I could be thinking, please stop me. Do you see the difference? So the subtext is what's going on in your brain, in the actor's brain, and beneath the dialogue, regardless of what they're saying. So, and we all do this every day, all day long. Right this moment, I'm thinking a million things, right? We have things that we think all day long. Our thoughts, and I teach the Brooke Castillo model that I am learning myself, but it goes, it's more than going along with character traits. This is the gold. We should have saved this for the end, because I really feel like subtext, and we're going to take you through an exercise today that really gets to it. And this is the thing, to me, that makes the difference between a screenplay and an Oscar-winning screenplay. Whiplash, whether you loved or hated that movie, the subtext in that movie of what's going on underneath everything is just like riveting. That's a great example of a movie where, we talk about high stakes. Subtext, that's what creates high stakes, is what is everybody believing, thinking underneath all of the things that we're doing. And so Whiplash was not a life and death movie. Most people think, oh, raise the stakes, we need to kill someone. No, it's the subtext. And so I was about to say, I teach the Brooke Castillo model, and that's something that I'm actually learning still myself. But basically her thing, and she's a life coach and she's amazing, but she talks about how your thoughts are the thing that controls everything. So she talks about circumstance being neutral. This is so true. This is so true of screenwriting. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the questions. Are there any dead genres that should be avoided? No. Doesn't matter. Genre doesn't matter. So I'm going to try and stay focused. We're going to talk about subtext today. That's our main thing. Don't stop asking questions, because definitely we want to answer any questions that you have. Dead genre, that whole thing, the whole thing of this is dead and that's not dead. Yeah, everybody goes, oh, then you can't do that. And then someone does it. So it has nothing to do with anything. It's about subtext. It's about you taking whatever story, no matter what genre it is, and making it good. So, and if it's good, it's good. Doesn't matter what genre, doesn't matter what budget, doesn't matter. None of it matters. The story. And this is the reader perspective. Keep in mind, I'm always coming from the reader perspective. Readers are all about story. That's what we're about, is like creating a good story with good characters and good dialogue and all of that. Doesn't matter the budget, doesn't matter the whatever, all of that genre, doesn't matter any of that. It doesn't matter the medium, if it's a web series or if whatever, none of it matters. So yeah, totally riveting, right? I've been to a lot of screenings. In the premiere of Whiplash, it was in Hollywood, which, usually it's a little bit, people are kind of kicked back and they don't want to show their emotions. People leapt to their feet at the end of that movie, leapt to their feet. I've never felt the energy in a room like there was in that movie. Interesting, right? It's about a drummer. But it's such a good example of subtext. And if you really look at the most, I was totally going to contradict myself here, but what's the word? I can speak. I was going to say most character actors, but it doesn't matter. It's all actors. If they really have a handle on subtext, those are the Oscar winners. Those are the ones that really work all the time. It's really, really, really important. So Scruffles is good. Thank you. So I'm traveling and I don't have her with me. Don't remind me. So we're going to show you, there is a handout. I'm also, because we can be fancy on this platform, this is why we use this platform, so that I can share my screen with you. I'm going to go and share, usually LA audiences are very jaded. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we can walk through this exercise. So the subtext, so a lot of scenes, and by Rocky's definition here of seemingly unrelated dialogue, so we're talking about making a salad, but what we're really talking about is I'm going to kill you. That you see this in gangster movies a lot, where they tell a story. Ozark he tells this story about this redneck, and the whole story is basically that he's going to kill him. And we get that that's what he means, even though that's not what he's saying. That's kind of the obvious way of using subtext. The less obvious is the belief system being revealed by the subtext, like the example I gave earlier, where I'm saying what I mean, I'm saying I'm leaving you, but my subtext is please stop me. Because I can say, if I say the line I'm leaving you and my subtext is please stop me, is going to be much different than if I'm saying I'm leaving you and my subtext is get the hell out of here. Or my subtext is I'm actually thinking I'm leaving you, but there's a killer standing right behind you. I'm going to act that different. I'm going to be looking different. You're not going to look beyond the camera there. I'm going to be like looking and acting in a different way depending on what I'm thinking. And that's what makes really good exchanges, is if you are as you wish. Great example. It's a really, there's no late and you can leave early. Doesn't matter. Come and we go. It's the life of a writer. We are working around you. We'll be here doing our stuff. You work it around. So we want to take you through this exercise. This is actually an exercise that comes from talking about language and marketing and that kind of thing. But we are taking these ideas of language. It's lovely to have you here. Oh, and then we're going to apply it both to your life and to your characters. And this is what will make you a better writer, in our opinion, and will make your characters more rich. If you apply some of these tools to your own life, one, your life will get better. That's cool. And then two, it will make you have more authentic characters. So let me share my screen so we can see the handout as well. Hold on. Where is it? I got this. Don't need that. Do this. So this is an exercise that we are going to walk through. I have to sneeze, so if I pop off, that's why. I think I might be having a little bit of a cold, most possibly. Peggy gets it. I get it too. Most possibly, probably maybe on the Facebook group that we're streaming into. So here we go. This is an amazing exercise. We've done this. We did a version of this. We've done this a couple of times in a couple of different ways. I took a few exercises that we've done. So some of you, this might be a little bit familiar, but I've kind of put them together because I think this is super cool. It's so cool. I don't know who that was. Sorry. This is really an interesting idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this idea that this whole sheet right here, and we're going to walk you through it. So we're going to take you through, let's go. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. We'll do an example from your life. So subtext is a reflection of a belief system. So if you have an undesired identity, let's just say you are not a writer and you want to be a writer. You have a desired identity, which is down here, right? So you have an undesired identity, meaning I'm not the filmmaker. I'm not an Oscar winner. I'm not the filmmaker I want to be, whatever it is for you. And let me think of it. Yeah. And then you want a desired identity is, yes, you want to be a working writer or an Oscar winning writer or a Pulitzer Prize winner or whatever it might be. That's your desired identity. Over here, right here, oh, you can't see the cursor, can you? So you can't. That's interesting. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, so this here, if I just move it slowly, I'm learning. I'm learning how to teach. This here, right here, is the belief. So this undesired identity, the belief creates the consequence of this undesired identity. So, like for instance, I'm not a writer. I believe I don't really have time to write. That's the belief that you have. Consequently, you're not a writer because you believe that you don't have time. And the consequence of that is that you are living what you don't want to do, what you don't want to be. You're living this undesired identity. So if we take this in our own lives, I want to be a writer, I want to lose weight, I want to, whatever it is, where, whatever your undesired identity is, that you're not at the weight that you want to be, you're not as healthy as you want to be, you're not, whatever it might be, I'm not in the career that I want to be, whatever that thing is, you have some belief in there that even if things change, there's a belief in there that's going to be, you're holding you back. This is the same thing that is the obstacle for your hero. They have a belief, and we're going to use Luke Skywalker because he's such an obvious hero. So Luke Skywalker, he's a farmer, right? In the film opens, he's not even, most of us, and this is so true in this example, a lot of people aren't even aware that they're living in an undesired identity, right? We know that we want something, but if we're wanting to be something different, if we're wanting to be a different size and a different person and a different job, if we're wanting, that means that we're in an identity that we're not that happy in. It's an undesired identity. He is a farmer. He doesn't really know in the beginning of the film that this is not a happy thing, other than he's so wistful about dreaming to do other things, right? But he has this belief that that's who I am. I'm a farmer. He doesn't think that, he has a belief that, being a Jedi master, that's for other people. That would be another belief. These come together to create a belief system, or BS, because they can change. And then the consequence is often something that what we might call the inciting incident. So you have a consequence that is created from this. So the consequence can be, from the belief that you have, I am not this, I'm not healthy, or I believe that I can't get healthy. So you have this consequence of your health deteriorating because you have a belief that you can't get healthy. Okay, now that's the belief. So what creates this belief? Why do people have beliefs? And I believe that one of my beliefs is that beliefs are just things that we have chosen to think over and over and over again until, it's tiny little cursor, until it becomes true. Beliefs in society, I study with James Wedmore, who believes that there are nothing, everything is a belief. There are no facts. That's what he proposes. And so, like, the fact that I am this age is only because we've all agreed on a calendar. If we agreed that at 1 year is 24 months, I would be a lot younger. So it's like we hold certain agreements with each other in order to run a society and a culture. So and then beliefs clash, and that's where conflict comes in. That's where consequence can come in. So what creates this belief is the subtext. So if Luke believes I'm just a farmer, what he's thinking, that's the belief that he has. But he has that belief because he has all kinds of thoughts about that. It's the way I was raised. It's the only thing I know. That's what that's what my uncle does. This is where my life is. They need me to do this. All of these thoughts go through his head every day. If you believe, if you're unhealthy, you have this undesired identity of being unhealthy, you might believe, I don't have time to work out. I love pizza too much. I'm a sugar addict. I can't, whatever it might be. And this can go into it can go into so many different things, right? So this subtext here creates the belief system, right? So you've got these major and these are the thoughts that we have throughout our day. We might have a thought. There's so many ways we could do this. It's so fascinating to me. So we might have a thought of like, I can never, rich people are evil. That might be a belief that we have. And we might have that belief because underneath there's a subtext going on of, I can never make that much money. I don't have that much money. It's not fair that they have that money and I don't have that money. Look at my bank account. Oh, I'm so worried about my bank. What am I going to do about money? How am I going to pay the rent this month? These are all that's all subtext. All that chatter in our head. And your characters need to have that same thing. You need to know as the writer, what are the things that are going on underneath there? Because that's going to affect the belief and that's going to affect what comes out of their mouths. So in order for the movie to be interesting. And in order for us to move to a desired identity, we need to have a shift. This belief system needs to shift. And the shift is what happens is the hero's journey. And what happens during the shift is we get a new belief. And something happens, Yoda comes in and says, there is no try. Yoda, people start saying, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Here, take this sword. Hey, things start happening. He starts slowly to his subtext starts changing to, wait a minute, I got this. Wait a minute. And pretty soon, within 2 hours, he's down the Death Star and, that's it. He becomes the Jedi Master. He has a new belief that he can save the world, and he benefits by saving everybody. And this can happen in our lives too. If you are stuck, if you want to know what your belief system is, about money, look in your bank account. If you want to know what your belief system is about your health, look at what you do every day. What you do every day is a reflection of what you believe. We say we want to do things. You want to be an Oscar-winning writer. Are you writing every single day? I don't know. I hope so. That's why we're here. We want certain things, but you want to know what you believe? Look at your daily, keep a journal and write down what you did today. That's going to reflect what you actually believe. And this belief, so now let's go down here. This lays it out in a longer kind of, I gave you room to write, right? So if you do it for yourself, so you have or your character, take your protagonist and where do they start their story? They have an undesired identity, typically, even if they're not aware of it. Jerry Maguire didn't know he was really happy until he had the consequence of the epiphany, which is also the inciting incident typically. So he's got this belief that his life is wonderful until he realizes it really isn't. So now he's massively trying to shift his belief, which causes all kinds of chaos, right? So layer one is that initial subtext. It's the initial subtext. If I really can't afford this, I really, money doesn't grow on trees. Actually, that's more of a belief, but it's like the things that the kind of surfacey thoughts that we have that reflect a belief that creates the outcome that we live in. So, and this is also the Brooke Castillo model. You have a circumstance, you don't have enough money in your bank account. You have a thought about that. That's just a circumstance, whether you have money in your bank account or not. It's neither good nor bad. Could be good that you don't have any money in your bank account. Could mean that way you won't spend it. There's so many ways you could look at it, right? It's neither good nor bad. It's your thought about that is good or bad. You either think, oh my gosh, this is terrible, or you think, oh good, I'm glad I don't have to worry about that money in there, whatever it might be. That thought then creates how you feel. So then it's like, oh shoot, I've got anxiety because of the thought I'm thinking about my bank account. Then that will make you take an action. We act based on typically on the feelings that we have. And then that will make you, I got to go make some money, or that'll make you panic or whatever it might be. And then that will make you then have a result based on that action. So this layer of subtext that we have of these little thoughts of, oh, I can't afford it, all these little things, that's the first layer. And what I love about this is, so take your protagonist and put down whatever they believe about themselves. Put down all the little beliefs that are underneath there. All of the subtext that say all of the things about their belief. That will create a whole system, a whole minion thing of thoughts that will back up that belief. And it is kind of amazing. I'm glad to see people are writing every day. Yay. So it is really amazing. When you're stuck, whenever you get stuck, you will have, it could be 10, 20, hundreds of thoughts that will back up that stuckness. We will have all kinds of thoughts of, well, you'll be defensive and you'll be this, well, it's their fault. There's blame. There's all kinds of things that we do when we're stuck. There's buffering. I'm just going to sit and watch TV. I'm going to play a game. I'm going to do something to not feel this pain of being stuck. So there's a lot of thoughts in there that will back up that. Those are all creating a system that will keep that stuckness, of I'm overwhelmed, being overwhelmed and being confused. Those are two things that they don't really mean anything other than you're just circling a bunch of thoughts, and that will create a stuckness of overwhelm and a stuckness of being confused. Same with your characters. When you have a character and you want them to be overwhelmed and confused, give them a ton of thoughts, give them a ton of things to say, put them scattered all over the place, right? You want them to reflect whatever that subtext and belief system is. But here's where the real gold is. Okay, so the first layer of subtext and belief is that I can't write every day because I just don't have time. I have to pick, and here's the first layer. I have to pick up the kids from school. I have to do the grocery shopping. I have a full-time job. I have a boss who hates me. I have whatever, all of the well, you think that they're circumstances, but they're really your thoughts about the circumstances. All of the things that are happening, right? And this understanding that your thoughts about it, we all have things we have to deal with in life. There are circumstances all day long. But we can choose how we want to respond to those circumstances. So if you're not writing because you have this whole list of things that you have to do, and it's just not, you just can't, you're too overwhelmed, it's too confusing trying to figure out when you're going to do it, all of that. If you have a character who can't move forward because they're too caught up in, whatever their belief system is, what's the next layer? And here is the gold. So you have these thoughts. It's a 2-layer thing. And I've seen this taught as a 1-layer thing, that here's the line, I'm leaving you. Here's the subtext. Please stop me. That's as far as people go. Okay, if my line though is I'm leaving you and I'm thinking, please stop me, then the next, what's underneath that is where the gold is. Because I'm saying, please stop me because I'm going to die if I leave you. I can't live without you. Why can't I live without you? Because I'm not worthy on my own. It's like, it's the next layer. That's where the gold is. Those first thoughts that we have are just there to back up the belief system. They're there to go, yeah, whatever you believe is it. Even if what you believe is hurting you, even if what the character believes is not moving them forward, these are the thoughts that we have that trip us up. If we can dive in, you're a writer, you have this secret weapon. I say this all the time. You have a secret weapon as a writer in your life, in your relationships, in doing what you want. You can work this stuff out. And if you work this stuff out in your life, you will create characters that are better. And so by writing down, okay, I believe this. I believe that there's this is a great one. I believe there's a limited amount of resources. There's only so much money to go around, and not everybody can be rich. Those are, if they're rich, then, they're taking that. I'm not going to have that. That's not fair. They got this. These are all beliefs. These are all subtexts backing up my belief of I can't be wealthy. There's no way I can be wealthy. And there's a limited amount of resources when it comes to wealth, because in my opinion, is simply not true. It's like then why is it that one person can suddenly shoot up, and why did Oprah had nothing to work with? It's like people find a way, and we don't say, oh, I'm sick and I better like keep my sick. We feel guilty if we spend money or we have money because somebody else needs it, but we don't do that. I better be sick so that somebody else feels better. I mean, we can be generous with wealth, and there's things that we can do. We can help more people if we have wealth. But we have so many people have such a weird thing with money that it makes it so that they keep themselves from it, in the same way we keep ourselves from the things that we really want. And those beliefs are underneath. You'll see that first subtext backing up that belief. Yeah, because of this and this and this and this. But really, if you go one step deeper, it will come down to, well, I don't have time because I have to pick up kids from soccer, and I have a full-time job, and I have a boss who hates me. But really underneath, it's like, well, I can't ask someone else to pick up the kids from soccer because that would mean I'm a bad parent. See the difference? Now we're getting to somewhere. Well, I have a boss who hates me because I'm not worthy in this job, or I have a boss who hates me because I can't seem to get ahead. And then you can even go a level deeper. Usually when you keep digging, it comes down to just a handful of small little things. Usually it's, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy is really a big one. I don't belong. No one understands me. Those are the kind of universal pain that we have, is that people don't understand we don't understand each other. We don't understand each other most of the time. That's being understood is such a value in our society, in most cultures. I mean, that's why people paint on walls and cavemen were drawn on the sand, because we want to understand each other as a species. And that's why even our movies about aliens, like there's this, we need to understand each other, right? That's what it's all about. How can we communicate and understand? So this is like, all of this is where the gold is. If you can get to this in your life where you have the belief and you know what your beliefs are, and you start to go, oh, and you start to listen, holy smokes. So if you start your day and if you just start listening to your thoughts, for one thing, it's kind of amazing. You'll start to realize when you're saying things that are like, wait a minute, if you start your day with, I don't, and you just ask yourself like, I don't feel well, or I feel frustrated, or whatever it might be. And you just ask yourself, Write it down. Why do I feel this way? And just write down everything that comes. And what you'll see is the first thoughts that come are that top layer, all the like things that you say all the time. And then the second, if you keep writing until you start looping. So if you keep writing until you start writing the same thing again, but you'll write for a while usually. Sometimes this exercise can be really, it can be really emotional when you're first learning how to do it. But after a while, what ends up happening, and that's the next page. So once you start writing all of your thoughts. So I am frustrated today. Why am I frustrated? Just write that question out. Why am I frustrated? And then write down all the reasons why you're frustrated. And all this stuff will come out. Keep writing. Because the more that you write, the deeper it will go until you start seeing that you're writing the same thing again. And then you look back on what you just wrote and you go, wait a minute, who is this? You'll see like people will pop up. Your fourth grade teacher who told you that you can't write. Your parent who said, you know, you need to get a real job, your whatever, all the people that have stood in your way or all the people that have said you can't do this, they're all going to be represented there. And it's really fascinating. Weird random stuff will come. Like I've had like a name someone called me 20 years ago. You know, it's like weird stuff. But what can do is that you can look at that then and go, wait a minute, that's not even my thought. That's not even me. That's someone else. So you can identify that it's someone else. And then you can consider, why did they say that to me? Why would someone say that to me? And then you can take yourself out of it. Think about that person in that moment. And why would they say that? Why would the teacher tell you that you can't be a writer? Why would the experts say, don't quit that day job? Have we had this experience? Why would that happen? And most likely it has more to do with whatever they were going through. The teacher's having a bad day. The teacher couldn't take one more kid who couldn't understand what they were trying to teach. It was like, you know, I just want to move on, get out of my face, whatever it might be. It's not even have anything to do with you. And that's a really interesting thing. And then how might you reframe it? How might you then go, oh, and then when you're going back and you're looking through and you're doing this exercise, you can call BS on the belief system where you can go like, that's not even me. That's not even real. And what happens is the more you do this exercise, the more that you write and the more that you do like a thought download where you just download all your thoughts and you just keep writing until you won't get very far before you're like, well, that's not even true. That's not me. I don't believe that. And you can start working your way back up the ladder to shift that belief so that you can become the Jedi Master. So, and the same is true with your characters. The more that you can dig in deep to what they believe, even if it's not on the page. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't want to do that kind of deep character work, especially when you're first starting out. Just want to write their screenplay. But the more that you do, and I actually think that it actually works if you just do this, if you don't want to do it with your characters, if you just do it for yourself, it'll affect your writing, because you'll start to see, the more that you work on yourself and your own beliefs and your own thoughts and really start to understand yourself, the more you will understand others. That's one of the reasons why people don't understand each other, because they don't even understand themselves. They don't know what they want. So many people, I'll be like, well, what do you want? Well, I don't know, but they can tell you what they don't want. And that's, if you're having trouble trying to decide what you want to do, I bet you can tell me in a heart, in a second, what you don't want to do. That's where we kind of tend to live. So if you can download those thoughts and you can start to have an understanding of yourself, of what you want and why aren't you getting it. If there's something that you want and you don't have it, then that means you're not believing that it's true yet. You're not believing that it's something that can actually happen, because you really do have to believe it before you can see it. And so I really feel like the more that you dive into this kind of subtext in your world, in your life, the more you will automatically write deeper, richer, more succinct, fuller characters. And this is something that no one really talks about. And I think that some people do this naturally. And those are some of the great writers. It's one of the reasons why some writers like Tarantino came racing out of the gate. One, he's all subtext. That's what he built his first things on, is we're going to have these killers talk about a Burger King, right? Because it's like, oh, they're normal people just talking about stupid stuff as they're murdering people, right? It was such a huge subtext in your face kind of way of writing that he does it naturally. Some people have a natural affinity for it. Everyone, I think, can learn it. But I think the way that you learn it is by diving into your own world. So I hope I watch for this hippy dippy stuff. Exactly. It is hippy dippy, but it's like, oh, right. And then you actually do it and go, oh, wait. And then it is also true because you'll start to hear yourself on a different level. And you'll also start to realize when, there's times, and I see people, I've done this in my own life where I say, I'm sorry. And the person's like, well, that's not good enough. And I go, I said I was sorry. How many times? That's such a common exchange, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, right. But your sorry is coming from poor me. My subtext in I'm sorry is like, I'm sorry I'm not worthy. I'm not sorry I didn't do what you wanted. I'm sorry I'm not worthy of what it is that you think I should be. I'm sorry that I can't live up to your expectations, right? None of that is just, I'm sorry I hurt you. That I did that and I'm really sorry for it. It's a much different subtext when it's like about the other person instead of, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that I did that. When you're thinking, I'm sorry for me. And there's so many, I've had situations. I had one situation that was a really dire situation for a person and someone else, their sibling said, why is this happening to me? It was like, it wasn't happening to them. And yet people live like that. A lot of people live like that. And the more that you can like dive into your own thing, the more you will write characters that can dive into their thing. So it might sound woo-woo and all that and hippy-dippy, and your thoughts create your things and all of that. But it's definitely, if you are going to be a writer, if you want to write a screenplay that is, people will notice, it's getting into that psychology and getting into the depth and the richness of language and of communication. And if you do that, even if it's a, just raunchy comedy, it's going to be different. One of my favorite line in The Hangover is when Bradley Cooper's on the phone and she says, you guys need to get down here. And he says, yeah, that's not going to happen. I rewound that and watched it like 100 times. So it was so hilarious because it was such a wealth of subtext of everything they'd been through, where they were at in the moment, what was the future going to hold. Like they weren't going to get there in time. It was all going to be ruined. They were going to have to reveal all this crap that just went down. Their relationships were all doomed. They didn't know where their friend was in the moment. It was like everything wrapped into, yeah, that's not going to happen. And that's what makes really rich, interesting characters is when you can just partly the actor and partly the dialogue, just really capturing that whole thing. So I already decided my next cat name and now I can't remember what it was. It was a good one too. Oh, no, that's not it. Anyway, so there you have it. So I wanted to take you through this and I, use this handout for when you are building a character, take them through these steps, but more so use this handout for your own life. So the more that you can get your, really understanding your thoughts. How many of you actually listen to yourself? I mean, when I started listening, I used to have chronic migraines, really bad migraines, like close out all the windows and, lay down, go to the hospital, get a shot, like really bad. And then I started understanding this stuff, started listening to my thoughts and realized that I spent the whole day, every day saying, what's wrong with me 1,000 times a day. I'm not joking. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Joking, also serious. God, what's wrong with me? Like all day, every day. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? No wonder my head hurt, right? It's like those, there are things that happen to us. There are tragedies. We live through tragedies. We have horrible things that happen. So we have to find a way to deal with those things. As we learn how to find and as we learn how to reach into the grab bag of emotion and go, I'm going to choose that one instead of just letting it, the bag run over us, starting to choose the way we're going to think so that will choose the way that we feel. So that will choose the action that we take. So that will choose the result we end up with. I really firmly believe in this. And I really firmly believe in it as a way to write better screenplays as well. Ding, just like that. Go do that. So we are here to support you as writers. We're here to support this idea of taking life and making it real in your screenplay. That's the best I can give to advice I can give to a writer. Be real. Be real, please. No matter what you're writing, even if you're writing the zombie apocalypse, be real. When you look at these, characters that are iconic, characters that hold up, it's like there's something genuine about them. And the more genuine you can be in your life and the more you really look at your own stuffing, still doing turkey jokes, the better your screenplays will be. So that's our training for today. We're trying to keep them to about half an hour. We will be back tomorrow. We are going to be talking about the nuts and bolts of screenwriting and the do's and don'ts from a reader's perspective. Don't want to miss that. So we're going to do, kind of formatting things. We'll give you software. We have lots of handouts. We have lots of free things that we're going to be giving you. Make sure that you download and keep this handout. I would create a notebook so you have, something to write in. We will be here, same bat channel at noon tomorrow, where we really dive in. We have a whole thing on all the formatting things that you should know. And then also the kind of basics, do this, don't do that. If you want your script to get past a reader, this whole thing is set up to be about writing a screenplay a reader will love. And we are giving you these tools, and we're doing this in it's a longer version than our normal trainings. We like to do just short trainings, but we're doing this for 2.5 weeks because we wanted to get in there, give you a bunch of tools, and then go write. Rather than having a Facebook group that we can lounge around in for a while, we really want to give you the tools, send you on your way, and you get that screenplay done. Cool? Zombies are people too. And on that note, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, you guys. Sounds like good. We'll see you tomorrow. Nuts and bolts, do's and don'ts. That's what we need to do. I think it'll be good. We will see you then.